You have spent so much of your life trying to get everything just right before you even begin. You have mapped out every step, anticipated every possible problem, and waited for the perfect moment that somehow never quite arrives. And right now, something inside you already knows that this pattern has cost you more than it has ever protected you. That is exactly what we need to talk about today. Because doing this instead of overplanning could be the one small step that changes everything for you. If you are someone born under the sign of the maiden, this message is going to hit differently than anything you have heard before. Not because it tells you what you want to hear, but because it tells you what you have been avoiding. There is a shift happening in your energy right now, and it is asking you to stop preparing and start moving. I know that feels uncomfortable. I know your mind is already listing reasons why you need just a little more time, just a little more information, just a little more certainty. But here is the truth that nobody else is going to say to you this plainly. The planning has become the procrastination. And deep down you already know that. So stay with me through every single part of this message, because each piece builds on the last. And by the end, you will see your own patterns more clearly than you ever have before. What comes next might surprise you. Tip 1. Stop waiting for the feeling of readiness. There is a lie that has been running your life for longer than you probably realize, and it sounds something like this: I will start when I feel ready. You have told yourself this about relationships, about career changes, about health goals, about creative projects, about conversations you know you need to have. You have been waiting for a feeling, a sense of internal alignment, a moment where everything clicks into place and you just know it is time. But that moment is not coming. Not because something is wrong with you, but because readiness is not a feeling. It never has been. Readiness is a decision. It is something you choose, not something that washes over you like a wave. And the longer you wait for it to arrive on its own, the more time slips through your fingers while you stand at the edge of your own life, watching other people jump. Think about the last time you actually felt completely ready for something important. If you are honest with yourself, you probably cannot name a single time. Because even when you did finally take action, there was still a thread of doubt, still a quiet voice saying maybe you should wait just a little longer. That voice never goes silent. It is part of how your mind works. Your sign is wired for analysis, for precision, for careful evaluation. These are extraordinary gifts when they are used in service of action. But when they become the gatekeepers that decide whether you are allowed to move forward, they become a prison. And you have been sitting in that prison for a long time now, haven't you? The walls are made of perfectly organized plans that never get executed. The floor is covered with lists that never get checked off. And the door has been unlocked this entire time. You just keep telling yourself you are not ready to walk through it. Here is what I need you to understand today. Every single person who has ever built something meaningful started before they were ready. Every person who changed their health, their finances, their relationships, their daily habits, they all started with doubt still whispering in their ear. The difference between them and the version of you that stays stuck is not talent, not luck, not timing. It is simply that they decided to move before the doubt went away. And that is all you have to do. You do not need to feel brave. You do not need to feel confident. You do not need to feel certain. You just need to take one step while still feeling all of those uncomfortable things. That is what courage actually is. It is not the absence of fear. It is movement in the presence of fear. And right now, this energy is calling you to practice exactly that. Stop rehearsing your life and start living it. The feeling of readiness you have been chasing does not exist ahead of you on the timeline. It exists on the other side of action. You will feel ready after you begin, not before. So the question is not whether you are prepared enough. The question is whether you are willing to be imperfect, to be messy, to be human, and to start anyway. Because the version of you that waits for perfect readiness is the same version that looks back in 5 years and wonders where all the time went. And you deserve better than that. You deserve to actually experience what you have been spending all this time planning for. Tip 2. Release the need to control every outcome. This one is going to challenge you in ways you might not expect because it touches something that sits at the very core of how you operate. You want to know how things are going to turn out before you invest yourself in them. You want guarantees. You want to see the full picture from beginning to end before you even pick up the brush. And I understand why. You have been hurt before by things you did not see coming. You have been blindsided by outcomes you never anticipated. And somewhere along the way, you decided that if you could just think through every possibility, if you could just prepare for every scenario, you would never be caught off guard again. But that strategy has a cost, and you are paying it right now with your peace of mind. The need to control every outcome is not actually about control. It is about fear. Fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of wasting your time, fear of looking foolish in front of people whose opinions you value. And when you try to control everything, what you are really doing is trying to eliminate the possibility of pain. But life does not work that way. Pain is part of the journey. Disappointment is part of growth. And the things you cannot control are often the very things that redirect you towards something better than what you had planned. Think about the moments in your life that ended up meaning the most to you. How many of them went exactly according to plan? Probably very few. The relationships that changed you, the opportunities that opened doors, the lessons that made you who you are today. Most of them came from situations you never could have predicted or controlled. They came from the beautiful, terrifying, unpredictable mess of actually living your life instead of trying to manage it from a distance. When you grip too tightly to the way things are supposed to go, you close yourself off to the way things could go. You miss the detours that lead to better destinations. You ignore the whispers of intuition because they do not match the spreadsheet in your head. And you exhaust yourself trying to hold together a plan that was never meant to be rigid in the first place. What would it feel like to loosen your grip just a little? Not to abandon all planning, not to throw caution completely to the wind, but to hold your plans loosely enough that life can surprise you. To set a direction instead of demanding a destination. To take a step without needing to see the entire staircase. That is where your freedom lives. Not in certainty, but in trust. Trust that you are resourceful enough to handle whatever comes. Trust that your ability to adapt is more powerful than your ability to predict. Trust that the universe, or whatever you want to call it, has a way of putting you exactly where you need to be, even when it does not look like where you thought you were going. The most beautiful chapters of your life are waiting on the other side of surrender. Not giving up, but giving in. Giving in to the reality that you are not meant to have all the answers before you begin. Giving in to the truth that uncertainty is not your enemy. It is your invitation to grow. And right now, that invitation is sitting right in front of you, waiting for you to accept it. Stop trying to write the ending before you have lived the middle. Let the story unfold. You might be amazed at where it takes you. If what you're hearing feels accurate, imagine what could happen if you applied this energy intentionally for 21 consecutive days. That's exactly what the 21-day program in the pinned comment is built for. Daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you're tired of staying in the same cycle, this is your structure. Tip 3. Stop using perfection as a shield. Let me tell you something about perfectionism that might change the way you see yourself forever. You have always believed that your high standards are a strength. You have worn them like a badge of honor, telling yourself and everyone around you that you simply care more, that you refuse to settle, that you hold yourself to a higher bar than most people. And in some ways, that is true. Your attention to detail is remarkable. Your ability to spot errors that everyone else misses is genuinely impressive. But there is a shadow side to this gift that you have been refusing to look at, and it is quietly destroying the very things you are trying to build. Perfectionism at its core is not about excellence. It is about protection. When you insist that everything must be flawless before you share it with the world, what you are really saying is that you are afraid of being judged. You are afraid that if people see your work, your ideas, your true self in an imperfect state, they will reject you. And so you hide behind the mask of high standards, telling yourself you are not done yet. It is not good enough yet, you just need a little more time to polish it. But the polishing never ends. There is always one more thing to fix, one more detail to adjust, one more flaw that only you can see. And while you are endlessly refining something that was already good enough 3 revisions ago, opportunities are passing you by. Other people with half your talent and a quarter of your knowledge are putting their work out into the world, making mistakes, learning from them, and moving forward. And you are still sitting at your desk, rearranging the margins on a document that nobody will ever read because you never let it leave your hands. This is not excellence. This is fear wearing a very convincing costume. And the saddest part is that the things you are protecting yourself from, judgment, criticism, rejection, they are things that happen to everyone who dares to be visible. They are the price of admission to a meaningful life. And by trying to avoid them, you are not saving yourself from pain. You are saving yourself from living. I want you to think about something for a moment. What is the worst thing that could happen if you put something imperfect out into the world? Really think about it. Someone might criticize it. Someone might not like it. Someone might point out a flaw you missed. And then what? You would survive. You would learn. You would adjust. You would keep going. The catastrophe your mind has been predicting is not actually catastrophic. It is just uncomfortable. And you have survived uncomfortable things before. Many times. You are far more resilient than your perfectionism gives you credit for. Starting today, I want you to practice something radical. I want you to do things on purpose that are not perfect. Send the email without reading it a fourth time. Share the idea before you have every detail figured out. Cook the meal without following the recipe exactly. Let the house be a little messy. Wear the outfit that you are not sure about. These small acts of imperfection are not lowering your standards. They are raising your quality of life. They are teaching your nervous system that imperfection is not dangerous. They are proving to you, one small experience at a time, that you are more than your output. That your worth is not determined by how flawless you appear. That you are allowed to be a human being, not a human doing. And here is the beautiful irony of it all. When you stop trying to be perfect, you actually get better. Because you start taking more action, getting more feedback, learning more quickly, and growing in ways that perfectionism never allowed. The version of you that embraces imperfection is not a lesser version. It is a freer one. And freedom, not perfection, is what your soul is really craving right now. Tip 4. Let go of other people's timelines. There is a quiet comparison happening inside you almost every single day, and it is stealing your joy in ways you might not even recognize. You look at the people around you, the people you grew up with, the people you see on your screen, the people in your community, and you measure your progress against theirs. They bought the house. They got the promotion. They found the relationship. They seem to have it all figured out. And meanwhile, you feel like you are still working through things that should have been resolved years ago. This comparison is poisoning your relationship with your own journey. And I need you to hear this clearly. Their timeline has absolutely nothing to do with yours. Nothing. The universe does not operate on a single schedule. There is no universal deadline by which you are supposed to have achieved certain milestones. That timeline you have been holding yourself to, the one that says you should have done this by now, you should be further along by now, you should have figured this out by now, that timeline was never yours. You borrowed it from society, from family expectations, from cultural pressure, from images and stories that were never meant to be your measuring stick. And every time you compare your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 12, you dishonor the depth and meaning of your own story. Because your path is not slower, it is deeper. The reason things take longer for you is not because you are behind. It is because you are thorough. You process things more carefully. You build foundations that other people skip over. You refuse to move forward until you truly understand where you are standing. And that kind of depth, that kind of conscientiousness creates a life that is built to last. While other people are rushing to the next milestone, you are doing the real work of understanding yourself, healing old wounds, and making choices that align with who you actually are instead of who the world tells you to be. That is not falling behind. That is building something real. But here is the thing about depth. It does not always look impressive from the outside. The person who spends 3 years healing from grief does not get the same recognition as the person who buries their pain and sprints toward the next achievement. The person who takes time to truly know themselves before entering a relationship does not get celebrated the same way as the person who posts pictures from their wedding. The outer markers of success are visible. The inner work is invisible. And because your sign is naturally inclined toward inner work, toward self-improvement, toward getting things right at the deepest level, you often feel like you have nothing to show for all the effort you have been putting in. But that is simply not true. The growth you have experienced is real. Even if nobody else can see it, the healing you have done is valuable. Even if there is no certificate on the wall, the wisdom you have gained is powerful, even if it does not come with a title or a paycheck. So I am asking you today to take back your timeline. Stop measuring yourself against people who are walking a completely different path. Stop letting their milestones make you feel small. Your journey is valid exactly as it is. Your pace is right for you, and the things you are building in the quiet, invisible spaces of your inner world are going to show up in your outer world when the timing is right. Not their timing, yours. Trust it, honor it, and stop apologizing for it. Tip 5. Practice saying no without explaining yourself. You have a habit that has been draining your energy for as long as you can remember, And it goes something like this. Someone asks you for something, your time, your help, your attention, your labor, your emotional support. And even when every part of you is screaming no, even when you are exhausted and overwhelmed and stretched beyond your limits, you say yes. And then you do not just say yes. You over-deliver. You give more than what was asked. You stay later, work harder, sacrifice more. And you do all of this while quietly resenting the fact that nobody notices how much you are giving. This pattern is not generosity. It is self-abandonment. And it has to stop. The reason you struggle to say no is not because you are weak or because you lack boundaries. It is because somewhere deep in your programming, you learned that your value is tied to your usefulness. You were taught, probably not with words but with experience, that people love you more when you are helpful, when you are productive, when you are solving their problems. And the thought of being seen as unhelpful, as selfish, as unavailable, that thought terrifies you more than the exhaustion of constantly overgiving. But here is what I need you to understand. Every time you say yes to something you do not actually want to do, you are saying no to yourself. Every time you prioritize someone else's comfort over your own well-being, you are sending yourself the message that you do not matter as much as they do. And over time, that message builds up. It becomes a belief, and that belief shapes the way you move through the world. Always serving, never receiving, always giving, never asking, always present for others, never present for yourself. The word no is not a weapon. It is a boundary. It is a form of self-respect. And you do not owe anyone an explanation for why you are choosing to protect your energy. You do not need to justify your no with a reason that the other person finds acceptable. You do not need to apologize for having limits. You do not need to cushion your refusal with promises to help later or suggestions for someone else they could ask. You are allowed to simply say, "I cannot do that right now," and leave it there. I know that sounds impossibly simple and terrifyingly difficult at the same time. And I know your mind is already generating objections. What if they get upset? What if they think less of me? What if they stop asking me for things altogether? And to that last one, I want to say good. Because if the only reason someone keeps you in their life is because you are useful to them, that is not a relationship. That is an arrangement. And you deserve relationships built on mutual respect, not on your willingness to sacrifice yourself for other people's convenience. Start small. The next time someone asks you for something and your gut says no, listen to it. You do not have to make a dramatic speech about boundaries. You do not have to have a confrontation. You just have to honor that quiet inner voice that has been trying to protect you all along. Say no. Let the discomfort sit. And notice that the world does not collapse. Notice that the people who truly care about you do not disappear. Notice that the only thing that changes is that you have a little more space to breathe, a little more energy to invest in the things that actually matter to you. That space is not selfish. It is sacred, and you have been giving it away for far too long. Tip 6. Stop editing yourself before you even speak. There is a version of you that the world has never met. A version that speaks without rehearsing first. A version that shares thoughts without running them through 17 filters. A version that laughs too loud, cries without shame, and says exactly what is on your mind without worrying about how it will land. That version of you exists. It has always existed. But you have been keeping it locked away because you are terrified that if people see the unedited, unpolished, unfiltered you, they will not like what they see. So instead, you curate yourself. You carefully select which parts of your personality to show and which parts to hide. You rehearse conversations in your head before you have them, scripting your lines as if life is a performance and the audience is always watching. You hold back your honest reactions and replace them with measured, appropriate responses that will not make anyone uncomfortable. And the result is that people like you, but they do not know you. They admire your composure, but they cannot feel your warmth. They respect your intelligence, but they miss the beauty of your vulnerability. You are so busy performing the role of the person you think you should be that you have forgotten what it feels like to simply be who you are. This self-editing is exhausting. Every interaction becomes a test. Every conversation becomes a performance review. You leave social situations and immediately begin analyzing everything you said, everything you did not say, every expression on every face, trying to determine whether you passed or failed. And this constant self-monitoring drains an enormous amount of energy that could be spent on actually connecting with the people you care about. Connection does not happen through perfection. It happens through authenticity. It happens when you let someone see the parts of you that are messy and uncertain and still figuring things out. It happens when you say what you actually think instead of what you think the other person wants to hear. It happens when you stop performing and start being present. I want you to try something this week. The next time you catch yourself rehearsing what you are going to say, the next time you feel yourself editing your response to make it smoother or safer or more acceptable, stop. Let the unedited version come out. Say the thing you are thinking without polishing it first. Share the opinion you have been keeping to yourself. Ask the question you have been afraid might sound silly. And watch what happens. In most cases, what happens is connection. Real, genuine, honest-to-goodness connection. Because people can feel the difference between someone who is being authentic and someone who is performing. And most people are starving for authenticity. They are surrounded by polished surfaces and curated images and carefully constructed personas. And they are desperate for someone who is willing to be real. You can be that person. You already are that person underneath all the editing and filtering and self-monitoring. The real you is not too much. The real you is not too intense, too emotional, too honest, too anything. The real you is exactly what certain people in your life have been waiting for. They just have not met that version of you yet because you keep hiding it behind the performance. Let the performance end. Let the real show begin. It will be messier, more awkward, more vulnerable, and infinitely more beautiful than anything you could ever script. Tip 7. Allow yourself to rest without earning it. You have turned rest into a reward system and it is breaking you. Somewhere along the way, you decided that you are only allowed to slow down after you have done enough, achieved enough, checked enough things off the list. Rest became something you earn, not something you need. And because your list is never fully complete, because there is always one more thing to do, one more task to finish, one more improvement to make, you never actually give yourself permission to stop. So you push through fatigue. You ignore the signals your body is sending you. You stay up too late, wake up too early, skip meals, cancel plans with friends, postpone the things that bring you joy, all in service of productivity. And you call this discipline, but it is not discipline. It is punishment. You are punishing yourself for being human, for having limits, for needing the same basic things that every living creature on this planet needs. And the cruelest part is that you believe this is what makes you strong, that the ability to override your own needs is a virtue. That rest is for people who are not as committed, not as responsible, not as serious about their goals as you are. But that belief is not serving you. It is consuming you. Your body is not a machine. It does not operate on willpower alone. It requires sleep, stillness, pleasure, play, boredom, softness. These are not luxuries. They are necessities. And every time you deny yourself these things, you are depleting the very resources you need to do the work you care about. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You have heard that phrase before, and you probably nodded along and then immediately went back to pouring from an empty cup anyway. Because knowing something and living something are two very different things. Especially for your sign, which tends to live in the mind and forget about the body. Your mind can keep generating ideas, plans, solutions long after your body has reached its breaking point. And because you identify so strongly with your mental capacities, you ignore the physical signals that are begging you to slow down. The headaches, the tension in your shoulders, the trouble sleeping, the constant low-level anxiety that never quite goes away. These are not just stress. They are messages. Your body is trying to communicate with you, and you keep hanging up the phone. So here is your permission slip, even though you should not need one. You are allowed to rest before you finish the list. You are allowed to take a nap in the middle of the day. You are allowed to do absolutely nothing for an entire afternoon. You are allowed to cancel the plans and stay home. You are allowed to put your phone in a drawer and sit in silence. You are allowed to exist without producing anything. Your worth is not measured by your output. Let me say that again because your mind probably tried to skip over it. Your worth is not measured by your output. You are valuable simply because you exist. Not because of what you do, what you accomplish, what you contribute, what you create. You, just you, sitting still, doing nothing, being nobody's helper and nobody's hero. You are enough. Rest is not a reward for work completed. Rest is a right you were born with. And reclaiming that right is one of the most important things you will ever do for yourself. Tip 8. Forgive yourself for the years you spent stuck. This might be the hardest thing you hear today, and it might also be the most important. You are carrying around a tremendous amount of guilt about time you feel you have wasted. Years where you did not take action. Seasons where you stayed in situations you knew were not right for you. Periods where you watched your potential sit and used on a shelf while you told yourself, tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. And now when you look back at those years, you do not see them with compassion. You see them with judgment. You see a person who should have known better, should have done better, should have been stronger, braver, more decisive. You look at the past version of yourself and you feel something close to disgust. How could I have stayed so long? How could I have wasted so much time? How could I have been so blind? But that person, the one you are judging so harshly, was doing the best they could with what they had at the time. They were not lazy. They were not foolish. They were not weak. They were navigating circumstances that you, from your current position of hindsight and growth, cannot fully appreciate anymore. You have learned things since then that make the answers seem obvious now, but they were not obvious then. The clarity you have today was earned through the very experiences you are condemning yourself for. Without those stuck years, you would not have the wisdom you carry now. Without those painful seasons, you would not understand yourself the way you do today. Without those mistakes, those hesitations, those wrong turns, you would not be standing in this moment, ready for something new. Every single experience that you wish you could erase is part of the foundation you are building on right now. Forgiving yourself is not about pretending that nothing happened. It is not about saying those years did not matter or that the pain was not real. It is about releasing the belief that you should have been further along by now. It is about accepting that your journey took the shape it needed to take. It is about looking at your past self with the same gentleness you would offer a dear friend who came to you with the same story. If someone you love told you they felt guilty about wasted years, you would never respond with judgment. You would hold them. You would remind them that growth is not linear. You would tell them that the fact that they can see it now means they have already changed. Offer yourself that same grace. You were not wasting time. You were surviving. You were processing. You were building the internal resources you needed to eventually make the shift you are making now. And the shift is happening. Do not let guilt about the past rob you of the momentum you are building in the present. Let it go. Not all at once, not perfectly, not completely, but begin the process. Begin loosening your grip on the story that you should have done it differently. Because that story is an anchor and you are trying to sail. You cannot move forward while dragging the weight of every decision you wish you could unmake. The past is done. It taught you what it needed to teach you. Now it is asking to be released. Honor it, learn from it, and then gently, firmly set it down. Your hands need to be free for what is coming next. Some people watch, others transform. If you want to be in the second group, the 21-day guide in the pinned comment gives you a clear step-by-step process aligned with your sign. This isn't about waiting, it's about moving. Tip 9. Start trusting your gut again. There was a time when you knew things without needing proof. When you could walk into a room and feel the energy before anyone said a word. When you could meet someone and know within seconds whether they were safe or whether something was off. When your body gave you signals so clear and unmistakable that you did not need to think your way to a decision, you could feel your way there. That intuition is still inside you, but somewhere along the way you stopped trusting it. Maybe someone told you that you were being irrational. Maybe you made a decision based on a feeling and it did not work out the way you expected, and you took that as evidence that your instincts could not be trusted. Maybe the world taught you that logic is superior to intuition, that feelings are unreliable, that the only valid way to make a decision is to gather data, analyze options, and arrive at a conclusion through careful reasoning. And so you shut down that inner knowing. You buried it under layers of analysis and overthinking. You started requiring yourself to justify every feeling with evidence, every hunch with data, every gut reaction with a logical explanation. And in doing so, you cut yourself off from one of the most powerful tools you possess. Your analytical mind is extraordinary. There is no question about that. But it was never meant to work alone. It was meant to work in partnership with your intuition. The mind gathers information. The intuition interprets it. The mind sees the details. The intuition sees the pattern. The mind asks, what do the facts say? The intuition asks, what does my body know? When these two systems work together, you make decisions that are both smart and aligned. Decisions that feel right in your bones and make sense in your head. But when you silence the intuition and rely only on the analytical mind, you end up in a state of paralysis. Because the mind can always find more data to gather, more angles to consider, more possibilities to evaluate. Without the grounding force of intuition to say, this is the one, the mind will spin in circles forever. And that is exactly what has been happening to you. You overthink because you have disconnected from the part of yourself that knows without thinking. You go back and forth because you have stopped listening to the quiet voice that already made the decision before your conscious mind caught up. You agonize over choices that should be simple because you have outsourced your decision-making entirely to a system that was never designed to work without a partner. Here is how you start rebuilding that trust. Pay attention to the first thing you feel when you are faced with a decision. Not the first thing you think, the first thing you feel. That initial flash, that immediate gut response before your mind has a chance to start analyzing and second-guessing. That is your intuition speaking. It might show up as a physical sensation, a tightening in your chest, a warmth in your belly, a sense of expansion or contraction. It might show up as a word or an image or just a simple knowing. Whatever form it takes, start honoring it. You do not have to act on it immediately. You do not have to abandon all rational thought. But start giving your intuition a seat at the table. Start treating it as valid input rather than irrational noise. Start noticing the times when your gut was right and your head talked you out of it. Because I guarantee when you look back honestly, you will find that your intuition has been right far more often than you have given it credit for. The whisper was always there. You just stopped listening. It is time to listen again. Tip 10: choose progress over perfection every single day. Everything we have talked about today comes down to one fundamental shift, and this is the shift that will change the entire trajectory of your life if you let it. You have been living by a philosophy that says things must be right before they can be real, that everything must be polished, planned, perfected before it is allowed to exist in the world. And that philosophy has kept you safe, yes, but it has also kept you small. And you were not born to be small. You were born to grow, to create, to contribute, to connect, to experience the full, messy, beautiful range of what it means to be alive. And none of that happens inside the fortress of perfection. It happens in the open field of progress. Progress is not glamorous. It does not look good on a highlight reel. It is stumbling, adjusting, trying again, getting it wrong, learning something, and trying once more. It is writing the rough draft knowing it is terrible and writing it anyway. It is having the hard conversation knowing you will probably say the wrong thing and having it anyway. It is starting the project knowing you do not have all the skills yet and starting it anyway. Progress is what happens when you value movement over certainty. And that is the exact opposite of what your conditioning has taught you. Your conditioning says, do not move until you are sure. Progress says, move so you can become sure. Your conditioning says, do not share until it is perfect. Progress says, share so it can become better. Your conditioning says, wait until you know enough. Progress says, you will learn what you need to know along the way. These two philosophies cannot coexist. You have to choose one. And the one you have been choosing, the one that demands perfection before action, has given you a life that looks organized on the outside but feels stuck on the inside. It has given you drawers full of unfinished projects, hearts full of unspoken words, and minds full of unlived dreams. It is time to choose differently, not because there is anything wrong with you, but because there is so much more right with you that the world has not seen yet. The gifts you have been hoarding behind the wall of perfection are not doing anyone any good sitting there. Not you, not the people who need what you have to offer, not the future version of yourself who is waiting on the other side of action. Every day you wake up, you face a choice. You can choose to wait, to plan, to perfect, to analyze, to prepare for a someday that keeps moving further away. Or you can choose to do one imperfect thing. Send one honest message. Take one small risk. Make one decision without overthinking it. Have one conversation you have been putting off. That is it. One thing. Every single day. Not 10 things. Not a complete life overhaul. Just one small, imperfect, courageous act per day. And over time, those small acts add up. They compound. They build momentum. They create a pattern of action that gradually replaces the old pattern of paralysis. And one day, you will look back and realize that you did not change your life with one dramatic leap. You changed it with 1,000 tiny steps. Each one taken before you were ready. Each one done imperfectly. Each one bringing you closer to the person you have always known you could be. That person is not a fantasy. They are not a someday version of you. They are the version of you that shows up when you stop waiting and start walking. and that version is closer than you think. One step. Today. That is all it takes to begin. Everything I have shared with you today is more than information. It is a mirror. And the fact that you stayed through all of it tells me something important about where you are right now in your journey. You did not come to this message by accident. You found it because something inside you is ready to shift, even if your mind is still listing all the reasons why now is not the right time. That voice, the one that says wait, the one that says you are not ready, the one that says you need to think about it more, that voice has had its turn. It has been running the show for years, maybe decades. And where has it gotten you? Not to a bad place necessarily, but to a stuck place. Place where you know more than you do, where you plan more than you act, where you dream more than you build. And that is not who you were meant to be. You were meant to be someone who uses all of that incredible intelligence, all of that remarkable attention to detail, all of that capacity for deep analysis, in service of action, not instead of action. You have everything you need. You have always had everything you need. The knowledge, the skills, the desire, the vision, it is all already there. The only thing that has been missing is the willingness to begin before everything is perfectly in place. And today, right now, in this moment, you can choose to stop waiting. You can choose to take that one small step. You can choose to trust yourself more than you trust your fears. You can choose to let go of the timeline someone else set for you and walk at your own pace toward the life you actually want. Not the life that looks impressive. Not the life that earns approval. The life that feels true. The life that makes you want to wake up in the morning. The life that uses your gifts instead of storing them for some future moment that may never arrive. This is your moment. Not because the stars say so, not because the timing is perfect, not because you have finally finished preparing. This is your moment because you are here, and you are listening, and something inside you knows that the time for planning has passed. The time for living has arrived, and it does not require a dramatic beginning. It requires one small, honest, and perfect step. Take it today. Take it now, and then take another one tomorrow, and another one the day after that. Before you know it, you will be someone who moves instead of someone who waits, someone who creates instead of someone who plans, someone who lives instead of someone who prepares to live. That is who you really are. Underneath all the analysis, all the caution, all the self-doubt, that is who has been waiting to come out. Let them out. The world is ready for them. And more importantly, you are ready for them. You have two options after this video. Close it and hope things shift. Or decide that the next 21 days will be different. If you choose the second, the structured 21-day transformation aligned with your sign is waiting in the pinned comment. The energy is already moving, the only question is whether you are.